I want to welcome everyone to our City of Little Rock Board of Directors agenda meeting to set the agenda for the May 2nd, 2023 Board of Directors meeting. Welcome everyone who's watching, as well as all of our City of Little Rock Board of Directors. Director Adcock, leave your hands up.
No, is mine turned on?
Yes, ma'am. You can just speak into the mic. Director Adcock.
Yes. Mayor, on item 16, I would ask that we take this off the agenda and have a community meeting. Several of the other cities throughout the state have had community meetings. I would like to have one where we invite all the neighborhood associations. So we need a location large enough to invite maybe up to 100 or 150 people, our staff, and then anyone else that wants to come and participate. I think a Monday night would be great, but I will leave that up to you and Mr. Moore, but I would like to pull it from the agenda and not look at it again until the second agenda meeting in May.
Thank you so much. We do know clearly this is an issue everyone's been watching for quite some time. What we'll do is have a meeting, public meeting. Clearly there have been a lot of public meetings, but we want to have just one more before this moves forward for consideration by the board. So we will identify a date and time between now and the first agenda meeting in May. Everyone okay with that?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll now do our presentation with JTS.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Starling. I am the president of JTS Financial. We're your employee benefits broker for the city. I have David Chance, the CEO of JTS, and Nancy Robertson, our chief operations officer here. The purpose of this meeting was to provide communication. As we discussed in the past, we would like to get the information out about how our benefits are running well in advance to give everybody an idea of what we can expect. I do point out that we are early on so far in this year. As you may recall, we moved from United Healthcare to CIGNA effective January 1st of this year. CIGNA gave us a substantial rate decrease, and as a result, we've got 2-3 months of claims to this point. I do want to point out that the first month, going from one carrier to the next on a fully insured plan, those first month's claims are really not indicative of what it's going to look like going forward. But the second, so our February and our March claims, though, are going to be more indicative of what we can look at from a claim standpoint. I'd like to start by going to the page, which is simply a graph. This is a high level, giving us an idea of not only where we're headed, we hope, but at the same time where we've been. So if you look, the red line that you see are actually our claims. And so the time period here is 2020 through 2023. So in 2023, we only have 3 months of claims, but we thought if we took the latter two, which are more indicative of our true claims, that would be February and March, and we extrapolated them out over 2023, along with the premium that we are currently paying, that would give us an idea of what we look like as far as hopefully where we're headed. As you can see, in 2020, we were roughly at premiums around $16 million with claims at about $15.5 million. Our claims rose to about almost $18 million in 2021. In 2022, we actually received a 4% decrease from United Healthcare, and our premiums, as you can see, precipitously went down. And then in 2023, CIGNA gave us a 14% decrease, and you can see the premiums as they would extrapolate out. So this is the actual detail behind that graph. So I'm not going to go over it in too much detail, but the numbers are right in front of you from a standpoint of our membership numbers. Those are the actual members covered. As you can see that, they have slightly decreased over time. And our claims have hovered around $15 to $16 million, except for 2023. If we continue on the trend that we are continuing on, the claims would drop precipitously. I can tell you that whatever we've extrapolated out is not going to be what our end result is. But at this point, 3 months in, we're looking pretty good. So if you look at it, 94% would be our 2020 run rate. 82% in 21. We ran at 90% in 22. And if we continue on the path that we're going, we would be running at 85%. So that would mean our premiums are exceeding our claims by 15%. Those are good numbers moving forward. Whatever is to come, obviously we'll wait and see as those months play out. But our intent is to make sure that we keep you apprised of what those numbers are looking like each month, so we have an idea of where we think we're headed from a renewal standpoint. From a summary standpoint, we wanted to summarize, since we took over in 2022, with United Healthcare, we got a 4% rate decrease. The employer-paid long-term disability was a 15.25% decrease. Employer-paid basic life was a 4.5% rate decrease. And then our VGTL conversion to term was a savings of $57,000. So in 2022, from the city standpoint, we saved $820,000 in money that the city was spending. In 2023, as a result of CIGNA's offer, those numbers have dramatically increased. So the CIGNA decrease of 14% is going to save the city $2.4 million. And the VGTL conversion, as it applies this year, is estimated to save the city $72,000. At this point, that would be a almost $2.5 million savings for 2023 if we continue as we have projected. So since that time, $3.3 million in savings. And I will tell you that it is our intent to continue to drive the savings that we can to the city. We cannot, as you know, control claims. But what we can do is try to proactively do things that would mitigate some of these large claimants, or try to catch them early, where we could try to control somewhat, at least have some control over the claims.
I know you probably explained this, but apparently I wasn't listening. What is VGTL conversion? What is that?
And I did not explain it, and I apologize, and I know the acronyms are overwhelming. VGTL is Voluntary Group Term Life. So these are voluntary life insurance premiums that are paid by the employees. And then there's also some employer-paid life insurance in there. So this is group term life insurance for the employees.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. So if I look at 2023, as I said, we have limited data, as you can imagine. And in the January, we had 152,000 in-network claims under the medical side, and we had 174,000 in the pharmacy side. The pharmacy is quicker to hit than the medical claims. As you can imagine, you bill a hospital, it takes a little bit of time for them to actually send in the bill and then to get paid. So in February, we start getting a more realistic idea of what these numbers look like. 753,000 in claims, 287,000 in pharmacy, for a total of $1 million in total claims. At that time, our premium is still $1.2 million. So we're ahead of our claims. And then in March, 752,000 with 258,000 in pharmacy, with $1 million in spend on the claim side, but we've got 1.2 million in premium. So at that point, we're running at a combined 83% claims to premium average. And if we extrapolate that out over time, that's how we got to the numbers that we showed you in the slide earlier. So one thing I will tell you that is a very good thing to see is this group has low pharmacy utilization when I compare it to the whole. Pharmacy utilization has been our nemesis in the employee benefit space over the last 3 years, with specialty drugs and everything else completely driving our claims. Your group is actually running under the norm, which is good, because we typically see 40% pharmacy utilization as a comparative of the whole claims. Does anybody have any questions on what I've shown so far? So another thing that we wanted to focus on was, it had been mentioned before, and we wanted to make sure that we actually paid attention to what had been requested of us. And that was to try to get out in front of these claims versus premiums, but more importantly, the renewals. How do we get it to where we're not making a decision right before we have open enrollment, which is any decision made in haste is never good, especially when you're dealing with employees' health insurance. And so our timelines that we have, if you'll remember last year, we had very specific timelines so that we could get this information to y'all in time to where you could actually go back and look at it and make an informed decision. So this is our proposed renewal timeline again for this year. 6-month review is July 14th. That's when we want to come back and we want to look at the claims as they stand then. And then the next one is our renewal request received. So we're going to actually request that we receive the renewal on a specific date. In fact, we're going to demand it. This is it's very early to get a renewal. I mean, it's very hard to get a renewal this early, but we have been fortunate in getting them to get it to us, because once we get the renewal and the claims versus premium, the carriers require both of those. So we can't have a submission until we get both of those. And then we submit it to all the carriers and let them bid. And so at that point, we're going to send all the quotes to all the carriers, and that should wrap up on the August the 4th. And then we prepare a spreadsheet, so we compare all of the different plans side by side so that you can see the pricing versus what the benefits are. And then we're going to have a renewal meeting in August. So that's going to be late August, 1st to September. And then we get the board approval in September, because we have to begin actually going in and enrolling, meeting with the employees to let them decide which benefits plans they want to elect, or if they want to stay where they are. And then our new plan year actually begins on January the 1st. And in the interim of all that, there's a lot of payroll interaction to where we have to get the deductions to the HR department and make sure that everything is working smoothly. Does anybody have any questions about that? Perfect. At this time, what I'm going to do is introduce you to Nancy Robertson. She is our COO, and she has been working directly with HR and the wellness team to work on a wellness plan in conjunction with CIGNA.
Awesome. The biggest piece is that there really is a
Pull your
true
microphone
partner.
up, please.
Pull it up a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. A true partnership between CIGNA, the City of Little Rock, and JTS to really roll out this wellness program. The biggest piece of this is to really, not only does it help the plan be healthy, but really also just helping these city employees really improve their health and being very proactive. I think it's a very intentional approach, and it's one of the reasons that we came and chose CIGNA was they wanted to roll out a very robust wellness program. The great thing has been the partnership with HR, with Stacy, with Jeannie Bradford, with Christopher Barnett. We've done a lot of partnerships with them. So we wanted to talk just a little bit about some of the different tools and services that CIGNA brought to the table that we are helping implement. So one of the biggest pieces, you have the Health and Wellness Fund. CIGNA provided a $100,000 Health and Wellness Fund that we're working with, especially with Jenny Bradford and Christopher on. Part of this will be, some of this money will be used on May 19th. There is a big wellness fair at the City of Little Rock on a Friday, and that is a big initiative that we'll be doing in conjunction with both CIGNA, JTS, and the whole HR department. We also listed out just a lot of the other high-level wellness tools that CIGNA provides. Again, a lot of this is ran through Christopher. He is our point of contact at the HR department and doing a great job of helping us. I'm going to go to the next slide a little bit, and it kind of talks through what all is a part of the Health Improvement Fund. Again, and it is not just a physical health. It's environmental health, social health, emotional, and financial. So we are rolling these pieces out. You know, one of the things that CIGNA provides is they provided a resource for the City of Little Rock to be able to use. We work that in conjunction with Sarah Palmero. Sarah is our JTS wellness coordinator, as well as Melissa Fox. So Melissa is JTS's dedicated resource to the City of Little Rock. All she does is work City of Little Rock. You know, even this week has gone out to 3 or 4 different locations, working directly with each of the different locations. So she is actively up at the administration office working. But this is kind of what the CIGNA is also doing with their health and wellness program. And then the last, I just added a couple extra slides on some of the other programs and disease prevention programs that they're really rolling out. Again, this goes into just not health, it's stress management, weight management, just a lot of different programs, as well as their diabetes program. We're really trying to make sure we're proactively going after those employees who are diabetics and try to help them with a proactive approach, because that ultimately helps the plan be very healthy. So kind of high level, we wanted to make sure you knew some of the things we were doing. Again, trying to be very intentional with a true partnership with the city, JTS and CIGNA, as CIGNA is providing kind of the tools and JTS is then implementing it with the HR team. Any questions at all on any of these? Great, I'm going to turn it back over to John for the last couple slides.
So as we've gone through the employee benefits and the things that directly impact our employees from a health standpoint, there's also things out there that we look at that we can actually try to make a process easier that's been very laborious, time-consuming, and very expensive in the past that has prohibited a lot of our employees, coworkers, and just family and friends from being able to have a basic estate plan. So I am a former practicing, now recovering attorney, and I worked in conjunction with another tax attorney friend of mine, and we created a platform, and the platform is called SIMPLEWILL. And the platform was created to automate the process to where I have a template that we have created from form documents that has AI and other tools invested in it to where I can fill out my estate plan in about 10 to 15 minutes. The purpose behind this was I actually saw a spot on Fox where Donna Terrell was talking about an attorney that couldn't get to his COVID patient who is in ICU and could not actually provide his loved ones with a durable power of attorney or something to take care of his estate while he was in the ICU. That sparked the idea of SIMPLEWILL. We have refined this over the last 2 years. We have given it to our employees for free. And I thought the one thing I wanted to bring to the city was we worked with the Arkansas Bar Association. So we are endorsed by the Arkansas Bar. And we worked with the Young Lawyers Association, which is part of the bar. And we created a program that they had already had in place, but we allowed SIMPLEWILL to be used for free. And this is where the attorneys of the Young Bar Association, they actually offered their services for free. And the program was called Wheels for Heroes. And it was activated on April the 1st. We actually extended it when the tornadoes hit. And what we did is we provided a simple estate plan for all first responders. We do not have specific data as to who all participated, but what we do know is that we had some of our first responders from Little Rock and the surrounding cities that actually did take advantage of this service, and we wanted them to. because they put themselves on the front line every day. So that program actually had 76 participants go through, and when they went through the process, the way it works is you have a form that you complete, and in that complete, you're putting in the names of what's your name, do you have a spouse or a significant other, children, those things. Once that information is gathered, then they get a scheduling calendar, and they schedule 20 minutes with a local Arkansas attorney. And that Arkansas attorney walks them through all of the decisions they made to make sure they knew exactly what they were doing. And at the end of that, we actually generate the forms, mail them to them, and they have their estate planning documents in place. So in that situation, you actually get a will, a living will, a durable power of attorney, a healthcare proxy, and a HIPAA form. These are the basic necessities that most of our Arkansas citizens need. And having both of my parents passed away, the fact that I am an attorney and my brother is, made it a very simple or a much simpler process for us. But most people are not in that position. So the one thing that we are going to do is we are looking at creating a new program to where we can, with the cities that we work with, see if we can't continue the trend of offering this service to our first responders. So that is something that we would hopefully bring up sometime in the near future, but just wanted y'all to know that this is something that we see a benefit in. I hope y'all do, and I hope that we can get it out to most of the first responders. Is there any questions from anyone?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I should be raising my hand. Well, what's the definition of first responders? Who are first responders?
So as far as the Wheels for Heroes program went, my understanding was it was police, fire, and then the medical, there was a medical assist. What is it? EMS. That was my understanding of the way they defined it. We actually operated in their program. So I'm open to any clarifications.
Any other cities that they define first responders the same way that we do?
In this situation, I'm not sure of. I know that this program has been in place for a couple of years. They just allowed us to bring our platform in to make it a simpler process. But I will get clarification for you on that, and I'll get you an answer.
Okay, that's fine. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Well, John, just want to share our appreciation to you and the JTS team and the great work that you've been doing on behalf of the City of Little Rock employees. Very innovative work. Clearly, the proof is in the pudding right now as it relates to the decreased prices that we're experiencing, or the reduction cost savings that we're experiencing. Clearly, things can change, but you truly have navigated us through this process, which is always can be a bear for us as we move through. And so really appreciate the attention to detail and the customization that you've been able to make on behalf of the City of Little Rock employees. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Thank you for your support.
All right, members of the board, any questions on the modifications and/or the consent agenda? Any questions on the modifications and/or the consent agenda?
Mayor, I have a question.
Director Hines, then Director Wyatt.
Question was for them.
Okay. Did you? You have a question?
I'll yield to.
Yeah, we can bring them. I'm sorry. John, if you'll come back up, Director Wyatt had a question.
Thank you, Mayor. It's me.
I'm sorry.
On one of the slides, you were talking about the diabetes prevention, which I think is critical for health in City of Little Rock or individuals. And at the bottom of it, it talks about paid as a claim, $235 intro charge, and $13 per 1% of weight loss. Is the $235, is that what an individual would pay to get into this program? Or is that simply filed as a claim on their insurance with the city?
It's just filed as a claim.
Filed as a claim, okay. And how does the $13 per 1% of weight loss, how does that relate to the claims or the city?
$13 is 1% of weight loss. It's just an incentive. So as they get the weight loss, there's, they give an incentive back to the plan, so it helps the plan with your loss ratios. So it's just a direct incentive back to help on the claims. So basically, it's CIGNA giving money back to the city for every 1%. And everybody got a scale that participated, so they actually got a physical scale mailed to them, and it's been very proactive. And so CIGNA is going to be also at the benefits fair, the health fair on May 19th, and we're also going to be promoting it more. We have a joint booth together, and so they're bringing 3 or 4 people. We're going to have 3 or 4 people from JTS, as well as Christopher and Jenny, and we'll all be out there promoting it together, trying to get more and more people involved.
Okay, I think that's really critical, so I'm glad you highlighted that benefit from the plan. The other question I had was, you went through the SIMPLEWILL information.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
is that a cost to the employees, and if so, what is the cost?
So what we're doing for the first responders is free. There's no cost. What we are offering this out to employees, and the easiest way to do it is right at this point is going to be through just a link. So if anybody wants to participate in SIMPLEWILL, we would send them a link. They would go on, they would complete the forms, and at that point they would get a pay to where they could pay credit card, they could pay Venmo. I can't remember all the different options they have. The cost for an individual is $249, and the cost for a couple is $379. Now, I would tell you this, that is nowhere close to what the market is. Any of you that have priced a will or any of these documents in the past, it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000. And you're going to meet with, you have to go to the attorney's office, sit down with them for an hour, go back to the attorney's office, and then you got to go back again. That whole process has prohibited so many people from getting the basic documents. My intent is not to make this into a huge profit center. My intent is to get an affordable state plan in as many in Arkansans' hands as we can.
I just wanted to get that clarification out. I'm glad you highlighted it, and I'm glad that people have some options to go and do their estate planning. But I did want to note that it wasn't free to anyone except for the first responders. But I'm assuming when you send them the link, you tell them that there are charges that will be forthcoming.
Oh, before we do that, we have a full flyer and videos on how it all works. This is not something that we are sending out to the employees of the city of Little Rock. This is not something that we're soliciting that. If we were going to do anything to that nature, we would actually come up, ask for permission, and then walk through how that process may or may not work.
Okay. So you truly then are not going to be advertising this to all employees, just the first responders?
Well, the first responders program is a different program in that it's free. And I have to find, so on our platform, we have Arkansas attorneys that have signed up, and we have the Arkansas Bar has approved the training for a CLE, a continuing legal education credit, so that the attorneys can get continuing ed credits for doing pro bono work. The next thing that we're going to have to ask is, can we get hour-for-hour credits of CLE moving forward so that we can actually offer this for free to all of the first responders. As to other employees, that would be something, if we wanted to offer it, we would offer it at the $249 or $379, and it has a promo code to where if the city wanted to pay for some of it or any of it, they could. That's a choice for whatever each person wants to do.
All right, perfect. That's what I wanted to understand. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ward. Thank you, John. Director Hines, then Director Miller.
Yes, so I guess this is going to be for you, Mayor, the city attorney, and the city manager. On Resolution 8, the memorandum of understanding with LRSD on the sustainable implementation of community school model. So is this replacing an existing MOU, or is it new? I was trying to read in our write-up.
It's actually probably the first MOU that we put in place. Superintendent Wright and our team thought it would be best just to make sure it's formalized in writing.
Okay, and then as I was reading through the resolution, in the board communication. So we initially funded this 3 years ago, I guess, 4 years ago,
4 years.
with 500,000 out of the Children, Youth, and Families PIT funds, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we're still funding it out of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now the school district is going to contribute the same amount to increase it to 4 more schools. Is that the way I read the resolution?
No, so we're keeping, right now we have 6 schools, and at the current amount, the 6 schools is still the same amount of funds that the city puts forward. Answer your question first, we're not increasing anything on the city's end. What has been agreed to, the possibility as we move forward, is to add another school, but we want to have some things in place on a formal standpoint, just for standing operating procedures. It's really just more so putting in place what we've been doing the past 4 or 5 years.
Okay, well, because so the school district's not going to put any matching funds in?
They put funds in now, yes, yes.
Okay, that's what I was, I didn't realize they were putting matching funds. I thought we were the seed money originally, and then.
I mean, they have employees and things of that nature. I guess I'm confused to the question.
No, I just thought that I wasn't aware that initially, I thought we were the sole funding source for the community schools launch to do it as a pilot, and then I didn't realize that they had started contributing funds as well.
Yeah,
And I thought I read that we were increasing the number because of that contribution from the school district, so.
Jennifer, you just want to if you'll come up, just give a brief update. But again, yeah.
So the MOU is to, yes, formalize the partnership that we have had for the last several years with the Little Rock School District. It outlines that both parties will allocate $500,000 in support of the initiative, and that can be salaries, grants, or just budget dollars. And so, yes, both parties will be committing those funds to the community schools model.
Okay, and it's only going to be in the 6 schools, correct? Or
Correct, we have 6.
We started with 4 and then we increased to 6.
Yeah, started with 4, increased to 6, but this, Jennifer?
Yes, we currently have 6 schools. I think the city and district are both interested in exploring expansion of the model, but we currently have 6 schools, and when school starts in the fall, we will only have 6 community schools.
Okay, super. And maybe it was the 4 pillars thing that was throwing me off that I was looking at. Because I get questions about this, and I guess this question's for Tom. As we all know, the majority of our property taxes go to fund our schools. So is this our paying into the Little Rock School District for their teachers and their staff anyway, and could be considered an illegal exaction under state statute?
I don't see that. I mean, if we provide $500,000 in cash and they provide $500,000 in kind, and the in-kind is a portion of a teacher's salary dedicated to one of these programs, then we're counting that as part of their contribution, but we're not actually funding that teacher. Their teacher would be funded by the school district.
Okay, because I know we do it when we do our safety officers at the school. They pay half and we pay half, so I was just trying to make sure we're good. That's all the questions I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Director Hines. Director Miller?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to follow up with JTS. When I was asking about the definition of first responders, I really would like for you to consider our 911 workers. We're doing a lot to try to keep them retained. To me, they are first responders too. And
Yep.
So just keep that in mind when you come back. And I don't know if we have to take any action on that or you.
Don't. I can take care of that myself.
So 911 would be considered.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Miller, for that. I know that means a lot to 911, so thank you. Any more questions on the consent agenda? Any more questions on the consent agenda? We'll now go to planning. Any questions on items 12 or 13?
I have a question.
Director Hines?
On 13, I just want to report back to the board. I asked for this to be deferred pending some negotiations between some representatives of the ranch neighborhoods, adjacent property owner and their legal counsel. Was kind of upended by the tornado hitting the architect's office because they had a meeting that morning. Anyway, we're down the road, but much to my chagrin, and I think Mr. Frazier has emailed the letter from the staff attorney at LRSD that it was a very polite letter, but basically it was a go pound sand letter, that they're not interested in putting any provisions into the POD to make sure that they're going to be a good neighbor going forward. I'm going to have a tough time supporting this. It seems to me that maybe, and I thought we had asked that the superintendent or somebody from her staff was going to be, I thought Director Richardson or somebody had asked that, but as badly as I want to see this Little Rock West High School built, we still need to make sure that we have stuff for provisions in the POD and even agreement in writing doesn't carry the same weight as if the provisions are in the POD. So I'm kind of at a point where I think we need to get some bigger decision makers in the room with counsel. Mr. Frazier, I think he came just to hear the proceedings, but I'm not ready to vote on this until it seems like they've been trying to work it at the staff level with an LRSD, with the architects, the engineers, and now some folks at the staff. We've even engaged school board member Wesley, this is her district. Everybody that's been in the meetings has thought all of the requests were reasonable until we got the letter from the staff attorney yesterday. And like I said, it was not, essentially no assurances, and we're just going to go about our merry way. And I'm concerned that some things were looked over at our staff's level in planning before this went to the Planning Commission, because it seems like some of these are logical stuff with fencing, light, speakers, something we've already done at Southwest Little Rock High School, something that we've done previously with Pinnacle Middle School when the athletic fields were put in, but it seems to be that we've fallen short with this. So I'm not sure where we go, if we can get a meeting set up before next Tuesday, but my initial feeling is this needs to be deferred again until we can get the superintendent, the school board member, and the representatives from the ranch neighborhood and their council all in the same room to see if we can work out a consensus. I'd really rather not send this back to Planning Commission because of the delay. If the applicant can reach an agreement with the surrounding property owners, they can proffer that as an amendment to the POD here in front of us, so we can vote on it and get it passed, I think, much quicker. But that's kind of where I'm at on this.
In an effort to be a good partner with the school district, I think what probably just needs to happen, I don't know, if we'll just kind of get the concerns, whoever is the spokesperson, whether that's you, Director Hines, or the POD representative, it's probably just going to need to be a meeting with the superintendent, those individuals, myself and Bruce, and we'll figure out. I would, in an effort to be a good partner, I agree with you. I don't think taking it back to planning is positive with what's going on in that area, but I think if you get the superintendent in the room with myself.
I don't think it's going to require going back to the Planning Commission, but I think there's maybe some decisions being made that aren't, just appear to me not to be run all the way up the chain of command based on all of the meetings that have taken place since that last deal. So Randy Frazier is the contact. He's here. I think Bruce knows how to get a hold of him.
We'll get that figured out between now and Tuesday.
All right, thank you.
My hand's up.
Sorry, Director Pat.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what Director Hines said. This is not exactly Ward 4, but it's certainly my neck of the woods. And I've had numerous conversations, email back and forth, and face-to-face conversations with some of the adjacent property owners. And Don't want to keep kicking this down the road. It's going to be a great thing, but we need some assurances in writing, as Lance said, much as same thing we did at Pinnacle and Southwest. So I completely agree with Lance. And Lance, thanks for taking the wheel here. That's all.
Thank you so much, Director Peck and Director Hines. Any questions on Director? Questions on items 14 through 16, 14 through 15?
Mayor, I have a comment on 14,
Director Hines?
and I'll speak for Director Miller if that's okay. That we,
Depends on what you're going to say.
well, it's on our financial ordinance. I can proudly say that we've gotten all the details hammered out, and we're in full support, as
Yes.
well as our constituents that have been in our ear about this, and we're ready to pass this coming Tuesday. So we will not be asking for another deferral.
Thank you. I was just trying to figure out where you were going with that.
It's positive.
And Director Hines and Director Miller, thank you all for the work that you've done to get us to this point. We do appreciate you. All right, I think Director Adcock.
Yes. Mayor, I would like to have a presentation by the Little Rock School District concerning the closed schools. I was at Meadowcliff last night, and they're having problems in that neighborhood with the school being closed, and they would like to have some type of assurance of what's going to be done with the building and maybe some more security provided in that area.
Yes, ma'am, we'll work to get them scheduled.
Thank you.
Director Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a quick question for you or the city manager about the debris collection.
Yes, ma'am.
And just continuing to get a tremendous number of emails from people who wonder if it's possible to get some sort of schedule. I know we have a huge number of trucks out there and people are really appreciative of that, but people are asking me, like, because there's so much uncertainty with the utility companies and things that we don't have any control over, they're wondering if they would maybe know that on Monday we're going to have trucks in Kingwood, or on Tuesday they're going to be in Foxcroft, or if that's not possible, I understand, but I promised them I would make that request.
The answer is yes, and a little bit of it's a time-sensitive situation too on the scheduling end, but they do have a GPS, and so we know exactly where they are, when they are from that standpoint, and sometimes they can get to a particular area because of utilities that could change, and so we'll have some things that we're working to get out to the community here shortly, but it's still, I just want to make sure everyone's aware it could quickly change too, and so we don't want folks to be dependent. It's not like our trash pickup time, but we are working to get some more communication out about that.
Thank you, and I understand that, and I think just any additional communication would be helpful, and people would appreciate that. Thank you.
We'll make sure that's done. Director Hines.
Sorry, hopefully this will be my last one. On the same front, Bruce and Mayor, over off Jamestown and when I was driving to Old Forge, we've had, and I've shared them with Bruce and John, that we've had debris in creek beds and stuff that's caused flooding in several areas. And I would assume, since we've got stormwater drainage easements in those areas, we're able to get in and access those to unclog those streams. And under our emergency declaration, we shouldn't have to be going to ADEQ to alleviate a potential flooding issue with storm debris. And then the other question I have is, in some areas like over on Jamestown, the debris has not been piled at the street, but along the power and drainage easements, just because there wasn't any physical way for them to, I guess when volunteers were piling it up, how are we going to remedy that with FEMA, since it's supposed to be at the curb, or do we get some leeway if it's in one of our easements where we've got access? I guess is the question to those.
That's probably a very technical question.
That's fine. That's what I'm asking.
Well, let us just get with John and he'll communicate directly with you.
Okay, thanks.
Director Peck.
I could shed a little bit of light because I've had a lot of phone calls about Old Forge and have been out there and taken pictures and videos. And this is hot off the press from John about an hour ago. And I think this is a very good and clear explanation about that, not about Jamestown now, but I'm over on Old Forge, but I think it applies. Cappy, there's no direct solution at this time. We've completed surveying all drainage areas in the storm path to identify where there are debris issues. These are being evaluated for ownership, access, floodway implications, permitting requirements, and generally how the work could be performed. All of these have implications on what our crews or contractor can do. We have also met with NRCS, the Federal Waterway Agency, about potential assistance with these areas of debris since they are not eligible under the FEMA disaster for our current contractor to enter private property locations and remove the debris. Since a majority of the debris is on private property, if those owners bring it to the street, we can collect it. It may be some time before we get clear direction from NRCS on what we can proceed with. That's not exactly Jamestown, but that
Right, no,
a lot of,
and I think you and I got the same call
Right,
on
we
Old
did.
Forge, and,
and I've gotten more, so that's from John about at 3:30.
okay, super. Well, I just think where we've got debris that's causing flooding, potential flooding issues, where we had houses threatened just during that rain the other night, we should be able to have some emergency, either with our own staff, even if we don't get reimbursed, we need to get somebody out there. I'm sure the property owners in the area will give us access.
And they, I know today's Tuesday, they were there yesterday, some public works staff with a backhoe, and I don't know what they accomplished, but that's certainly on their radar. So I
Okay.
just wanted to share
Super.
that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Director Hines, your hand still up?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, meeting adjourned.